The rain lashed against the cracked windows of New Harbor City Police Department. Detective Marcus Kane stared at his reflection in the darkened glass, running his tongue over the gap where his front tooth used to be. 25 years since the Fidians arrived, and humanity had been pushed further into the margins with each passing day. Outside, the gleaming Fidian hover shuttles glided silently above the human district, known as the Sink, a sprawling maze of dilapidated buildings where humans struggled to survive beneath the shadows of towering Fidian architecture. The neon signs flickered through the downpour, casting purple and blue reflections on the rain-slick pavement. "Kane, in my office, now!" Captain Lucille Barnes's voice cut through the precinct's evening hush. Marcus downed the cold coffee at his desk and made his way to her office, nodding at the few remaining officers on night shift. The human sector's police department was a far cry from the pristine Fidian security hubs. Flickering fluorescent lights, ancient desk terminals, and the persistent smell of mildew that no amount of cleaning could eliminate. Captain Barnes sat behind a desk cluttered with both paper files and holodisplays. Her stern expression softened momentarily when Marcus entered. "How's Leo?" she asked. Marcus's nephew was always her opening gambit, a reminder of what was at stake for him personally. "The treatments aren't working. 15 years old, and the doctors say his condition is deteriorating." "I'm sorry to hear that." She wasn't entirely insincere. "Have you considered the Fidian medical program? I hear they're accepting human applicants with genetic disorders for—" "We're not letting them experiment on him." Marcus cut her off. The subject of Fidian medicine was a sore point. His sister refused to trust the aliens who had systematically dismantled human autonomy while claiming to help them. Barnes sighed. "I'm bringing it up because we've got a situation that's going to require exceptional diplomatic care." She activated a holodisplay showing a cordoned-off building in the Fidian Cultural District. "Ambassador Terral was found dead an hour ago, throat torn open, and it looks like human teeth marks." Marcus felt his stomach drop. Terral was one of the few Fidians who seemed genuinely interested in human welfare. "That's impossible. Security in that district is impenetrable for humans." "Evidently not." Barnes's expression hardened. "You're being assigned as lead investigator, but you'll be working with a Fidian liaison. This could spark serious unrest if it's not handled correctly. They'll use this to justify more restrictions on human movement," Marcus said bitterly. "Which is why I need you on this. You know how Fidians think, how they operate. You've worked alien relations longer than anyone." Barnes leaned forward. "And Kane, stay sober. I know it's been tough since— well, just stay focused." Marcus nodded grimly. 3 months clean after a years-long battle with the bottle. His badge had nearly been confiscated twice, but his closure rate kept him employed. "Your Fidian counterpart will meet you at the scene. Officer Cho will assist you." As if on cue, Lena Cho appeared at the door, fresh-faced and eager. She had graduated from the academy just months ago. Her optimism about human-Fidian relations was both refreshing and naive. "Detective Kane," she greeted him with a respectful nod. "The transport is ready whenever you are." Marcus gathered his worn leather jacket. "Let's go see what our alien overlords want us to find." The Fidian Cultural Center gleamed like a jewel, even in the pouring rain. Its white marble exterior was illuminated by soft, bioluminescent lights that pulsed in rhythm with some unheard Fidian melody. Police barriers, a mix of human officers and Fidian security drones, formed a perimeter around the entrance. Marcus flashed his badge at the guards. The human officers nodded him through. The Fidian drones scanned his retinas before floating aside. "First time at a Fidian crime scene?" Marcus asked Cho as they walked up the pristine steps. She nodded, eyes wide. "I've never even been inside a Fidian building before. Remember, they'll try to control every aspect of the investigation. Don't be impressed by their tech or intimidated by their attitude. We're here to do a job. The interior was even more spectacular. Floating light orbs drifted across the vaulted ceiling, and the floor itself seemed to shimmer with each footstep. But the beauty was marred by the violet stain spreading across the white marble in the center of the main hall. Phidian blood didn't coagulate like human blood. It spread in geometric patterns, as if following invisible lattices in the surface beneath. Marcus approached the body, careful to avoid the spreading blood. Ambassador Terral lay face up, 4 arms splayed outward. His throat had been savagely torn open, revealing the strange tubular structures that Phidians used for breathing. His multifaceted eyes were dull, the bioluminescent patterns on his skin completely dark. "Detective Kane." The voice came from behind him, a carefully modulated feminine tone that all Phidian translators used when speaking to humans. "I am Investigator Nuya, assigned from Phidian Security Service." Marcus turned to face a tall, slender Phidian. Her forearms were crossed in various postures of formal greeting, and her skin flickered with blue speckles, indicating professional assessment. Like all Phidians, she had multiple eyes arranged in a semicircle across what humans would call a face, though Phidian facial structure was more like a smooth carapace with sensory organs embedded within. "Nuya," he nodded, deliberately omitting her title. "This is Officer Cho." Nuya's skin briefly flashed darker blue. Annoyance, Marcus knew, before returning to its professional pattern. The body was discovered by maintenance staff 97 minutes ago. Ambassador Terral was scheduled to give an address at the Cooperation Summit tomorrow. Marcus knelt beside the body, examining the wound more closely. "These are definitely human bite marks, but they're precise, almost surgical." "Precisely why this incident is deeply concerning," Nuya said. Her 2 primary arms gestured in the complex sign language Phidians used among themselves, while her secondary arms remained crossed. "A human infiltrating our secure cultural center suggests organized terrorism rather than random violence." "Or it suggests someone wants us to think that," Marcus countered. He pointed to the pattern of the bite. "No human could tear a Phidian throat like this without knowledge of your anatomy. The bite targets the primary breathing tube while avoiding the secondary one. That's specialized knowledge." Nuya's skin pulsed with purple spots. Skepticism. "You humans possess no natural weapons. Your teeth are inadequate for such damage without specialized training. This supports our terrorism theory." There it was, the familiar dismissal. Humans had no natural weapons. It was the Phidian justification for everything, from restricting human access to certain districts, to limiting human positions in government and security forces. Marcus had heard it countless times, that humans were toothless compared to other species the Phidians had encountered. "We'll need access to Terrell's schedule, communications, and security footage," Marcus said, ignoring the provocation. "Some of that information is classified under Phidian diplomatic protocols." Nuya responded immediately. "A Phidian diplomat was murdered on your watch, in your building." Marcus stood, meeting her multiple eyes directly. "Either we get full access, or I walk and you can explain to your superiors why the investigation stalled, because you obstructed it." Cho shifted uncomfortably beside him, but Marcus knew the power play was necessary. Phidians respected assertiveness, even while claiming to find it primitive. Nuya's skin rippled with dark patterns before settling. "Limited access will be granted. Supervised." "We'll start with his financial records," Marcus said. "And I want to know why Terrell was here after hours." As Nuya moved away to arrange access to the records, Officer Cho leaned closer to Marcus. "I've heard Terrell was progressive for a Phidian, advocated for expanded human rights in the border districts, which gives plenty of conservative Phidians motive to want him dead," Marcus muttered. "And what better way to eliminate him than to make it look like human extremists did it?" Before Cho could respond, Nuya returned with a holographic display hovering above her secondary hands. Ambassador Terrell's schedule and financial transactions for the past lunar cycle, she said. You may review them here under my supervision. Marcus scrolled through the records, noting patterns. 3 times in the past month, Terrell had made payments to an establishment listed only as JB Club in the Lower East District, a predominantly human area. And after each visit, he had transferred funds to a medical account registered to Dr. Rachel Kim, Xenodentistry. A dentist? Cho murmured, reading over his shoulder. A xenodentist, Marcus corrected. Specializes in cross-species dental medicine. He looked up at Nuya. Did Terrell have dental problems? Nuya's skin flickered. Phidians do not suffer from dental decay as humans do. Our oral structures are self-regenerating. Then why was he seeing a human dentist? Marcus pressed. And what's the JB Club? Nuya's secondary arms made a dismissive gesture. I am not familiar with human entertainment venues. Well, I am, Marcus said, memorizing the address. And we need to talk to this Dr. Kim. The investigation should focus on human extremist groups, Nuya insisted, her skin pulsing with deep blue urgency. The bite pattern indicates someone who knows exactly how to kill a Phidian with maximum efficiency. Marcus interrupted. I want to know why Terrell was meeting with a dentist specializing in cross-species medicine. Nuya's skin darkened to a deep purple, frustration bordering on anger. I will accompany you to these locations. Wouldn't have it any other way, Marcus replied with a grim smile. The rain had intensified as they left the Phidian district. Their transport, a standard-issue police hovercar, navigated the congested airspace between the gleaming Phidian towers and the sprawling human districts below. Officer Cho piloted, while Marcus studied the case notes on his tablet. Phidians think we're primitive because we can't regrow teeth, he muttered, more to himself than to his companions. Yet they're fascinated by our dentition. Terrell meeting with a xenodentist can't be coincidence. The JB Club is just ahead, Cho announced, beginning descent toward a narrow alley lit by flickering neon signs. The club's entrance was marked by a garish sign, Jawbreaker, in jagged red letters. A neon outline of human teeth flashed beneath the name. I see, Nuya said, her voice suddenly tight. This is one of your bite clubs. Marcus glanced at her. You know about these places. Phidian security monitors all cross-species establishments, she replied, her skin rippling with patterns that suggested distaste. These venues cater to Phidians seeking exotic experiences with humans. Cho parked the hovercar on a rain-slick landing pad. What kind of experiences? The kind where humans let Phidians bite them for entertainment, Marcus explained grimly, and vice versa. That's... Cho trailed off, clearly disturbed. Degrading. Yeah. But when you're at the bottom of the social hierarchy, you take the credits where you can get them. Marcus stepped out into the rain. Welcome to human-Phidian relations at their most honest. The interior of the Jawbreaker Club was a sensory assault, pulsing lights in shades optimized for both human and Phidian vision. Throbbing bass that resonated in the chest cavity, and the mingled sense of human sweat and the spicy sweet pheromones Phidians released in states of excitement. On a central circular stage, a human performer allowed a Phidian patron to press teeth against their exposed arm, not breaking the skin but leaving pressure marks. Around the stage, booths shrouded in privacy screens hosted more intimate interactions. Madame Fang runs this place, Marcus told his companions, raising his voice over the music. She'll be in the back office. They pushed through the crowd, drawing stares. A human cop was unusual enough in such an establishment. A human cop accompanied by a Phidian investigator was unprecedented. Madame Fang's office was a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Soundproofed, dimly lit, and meticulously organized. The woman herself sat behind a desk of polished black stone, her gray hair pulled into a severe bun. Despite being in her 60s, her posture was ramrod straight, and her eyes missed nothing. Detective Kane, She greeted him without warmth. Bringing law enforcement to my establishment tends to discourage clientele. This isn't a raid, Fang, Marcus assured her. We need information about one of your customers, a Fidian diplomat named Terral. Fang's expression didn't change, but her eyes flicked briefly to Nuya. I don't discuss clients. Confidentiality is our policy. This client is dead, Marcus said bluntly. Murdered. And your club might be the last place he visited before someone tore his throat out. That got her attention. Terral? Dead? For the first time, genuine surprise crossed her features. He wasn't the typical Fidian slummer. Never participated in the biting exhibitions. Then why did he come here? Cho asked. Fang hesitated, clearly calculating the risks and benefits of cooperation. Finally, she sighed. He came to recruit, specifically, humans with unusual dental structures. Paid them well to participate in some kind of research project. What kind of research? Marcus pressed. Medical, he said. Something about human dental enamel having properties that could help Fidians. She shrugged. I didn't ask for details, but he was meeting with Dr. Rachel Kim, a xenodentist who works with both species. We found her name in his financial records, Cho confirmed. Did Terral have enemies? Marcus asked. Anyone who might object to this research? Fang's laugh was sharp and humorless. Detective. A high-ranking Fidian showing interest in human biology as something other than primitive? Of course he had enemies. The whole Fidian political system is built on their supposed superiority. You should moderate your tone when speaking of Fidian governance, Nuya interjected, her skin flashing warning patterns. Fang merely raised an eyebrow. In my club, investigator. Everyone speaks freely, even humans. Marcus intervened before the tension could escalate. When was Terral last here? 3 nights ago. He met with Dr. Kim in one of the private rooms upstairs. They seemed urgent, agitated. Fang's eyes narrowed in recollection. And he was being followed. By whom? Nuya demanded. Another Fidian. Didn't get a good look, but they had embassy security markings on their hover car. Marcus and Nuya exchanged glances. Internal Fidian conflict meant this case was even more politically charged than they'd thought. We need Dr. Kim's clinic address, Marcus said. Fang nodded toward a terminal on her desk. Help yourself. But Kane, be careful. Word in the streets is that some powerful Fidians are very interested in stopping whatever Terral was working on. Dr. Rachel Kim's clinic occupied the ground floor of a converted warehouse in the Lower East District. Unlike the gaudy neon of the Jawbreaker Club, the clinic's exterior was understated. A simple illuminated sign reading Cross-Species Dental Services in both human English and Fidian script. It was nearly midnight when they arrived, but lights still glowed behind the frosted windows. Marcus peered through a gap in the blinds, catching glimpses of dental equipment modified to accommodate both human and Fidian physiology. Closed for regular business, but someone's inside, he muttered. Cho, take the back entrance. Nuya and I will go in the front. Nuya's skin rippled with patterns of disapproval. We should wait for Fidian backup. If there's a Fidian conspiracy to silence Terral's research, Fidian backup is the last thing we need, Marcus countered. He drew his standard-issue plasma pistol. Stay behind me if you're concerned. That challenge to her courage had the desired effect. Nuya's skin flashed indignantly, and she produced her own weapon, a sleek energy pulse rifle that made Marcus's pistol look like a child's toy. I will lead, she stated, moving toward the door. The clinic's reception area was empty, but sounds of movement came from a back room. They moved cautiously through a hallway lined with anatomical charts displaying both human and Fidian dental structures. Dr. Kim, Marcus called out. NHPD, we need to speak with you. A crash sounded from the back room, followed by hurried movement. Marcus and Nuya rushed forward. Weapons ready. They burst into a laboratory space where a woman in her 30s was frantically gathering data drives and paper files. She froze when she saw them. Her features a striking blend of human and Phidian characteristics. Predominantly human, but with subtle Phidian elements including luminescent skin patterns that currently flashed with alarm. Dr. Rachel Kim? Marcus lowered his weapon slightly. We're investigating Ambassador Terrell's murder. The woman's eyes widened. Terrell is dead? Her voice carried the slight harmonic quality of Phidian speech, though her mouth moved like a human's. When? How? Someone tore his throat out, Marcus said bluntly, with very precise knowledge of Phidian anatomy, the kind of knowledge a xenodentist might have. Kim's face paled. You think I... No. Terrell was my colleague, my friend. We were working together. On what exactly? Nuya demanded, her weapon still raised. Kim hesitated, her gaze darting between them and the exit where Officer Cho now stood guard. I'm half Phidian, she finally said. One of the few successful hybrid births before the breeding programs were discontinued. My research explores the biological compatibility between our species, specifically focused on dental structures. Why teeth? Marcus asked. Because that's where the most significant difference lies, Kim replied, some of her scientific passion overcoming her fear. Phidians consider human teeth primitive, but they're wrong. Human dental enamel contains an enzyme that could cure fraxal decay, a fatal degenerative condition affecting thousands of Phidians. Nuya's skin patterns shifted rapidly, surprise giving way to skepticism. Fraxal decay has no cure. Our finest medical minds have researched it for generations. Because they never considered that the cure might come from humans, Kim said bitterly. Terrell funded my research after his child was diagnosed. We were close to a breakthrough, an enzyme treatment derived from human dental material that could halt the progression of the disease. And who would want to stop this research? Marcus pressed. Kim's expression darkened. The conservative faction in the Phidian embassy. They believe accepting medical treatment derived from humans would undermine the entire basis of Phidian superiority. Ambassador Molisar, in particular, has been trying to shut us down for months. Ambassador Molisar is Terrell's superior, Nuya noted, her skin patterns now showing conflicted emotions. But to suggest he would resort to murder. 3 days ago, Terrell told me we were being watched, Kim interrupted. He was transferring our research to secure channels when embassy security tried to confiscate our data. He said if anything happened to him, I should contact Detective Marcus Kane, that you had a personal stake in our work. Marcus frowned. I've never met Terrell. Why would he mention me specifically? Kim moved to a secure terminal and pulled up a patient file. Because your nephew Leo's genetic disorder is similar to fraxal decay in Phidians. Our research could help him too. The revelation hit Marcus like a physical blow. Leo's condition, the progressive deterioration that human doctors had deemed untreatable, might be helped by this cross-species research. We need to secure this data, he said, his mind racing. If Terrell was killed to suppress this research, you're in danger too. As if in response to his words, the building's security system chimed a warning. Cho called from the reception area. Detective, multiple hovercars landing outside? Phidian security markings. Nuya moved to a window, her skin patterns shifting to alert status. Embassy security. They should not be operating in the human district without NHPD authorization. Unless they're not here officially, Marcus said grimly. He turned to Kim. Is there another way out? Somewhere we can secure your research? Kim nodded quickly. There's a secondary lab beneath an abandoned warehouse near the harbor. Terrell set it up as a contingency. All our backup data is there. Cho, Marcus called. Get the hovercar to the back alley. We're evacuating Dr. Kim and her research. As they hurried to gather the essential data drives, Marcus caught Nuya staring at him with an unreadable skin pattern. You must decide where your loyalties lie. Investigator, he told her quietly. With justice or with Fidian politics. Her multiple eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep consideration in Fidian's. I serve Fidian law, detective. And if what Dr. Kim says is true, then the actions against Ambassador Terrell constitute treason under our legal code. It wasn't quite an alliance, but it was enough for now. They barely made it out through the back exit before the front doors of the clinic burst open. Through the rear window of their departing hover car, Marcus glimpsed Fidian security officers in official embassy uniforms pouring into the building. Dr. Kim, direct Officer Cho to the warehouse, Marcus instructed as they accelerated away from the clinic. Nuya, we need to contact your superiors about embassy security operating illegally in the human district. Nuya's skin flickered with complex patterns. That would be unwise until we understand the full scope of this conspiracy. If Ambassador Molisar is involved, he could block any official investigation. It was the first time she had acknowledged the possibility of Fidian corruption, and Marcus noted the significance. Then we get to the backup lab and secure the evidence first. Kim gave Cho directions, guiding them toward the harbor district, where derelict shipping warehouses stood as monuments to the economic collapse that followed first contact. The rain had finally stopped, but water still dripped from rusted metal structures as they approached their destination. There, Kim pointed to an abandoned warehouse with boarded windows. Entrance is through the loading dock in the back. They landed the hover car in the shadows between buildings. As they exited, Marcus's communicator chirped. A message from Captain Barnes. Kane, what the hell is happening? I've got the Fidian embassy demanding I pull you off the case, claiming you've kidnapped a Fidian investigator and interfered with their security operations. It's complicated, Captain. The Terrell murder is an inside job. Fidian politics. We've got evidence that could expose the killer, but we're being pursued by embassy security. Barnes's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Do you have any idea what kind of diplomatic incident this could cause? Stand down and bring the Fidian investigator to the precinct immediately. Can't do that, Captain. Lives are at stake. He glanced at Kim, thinking of the research that could save Leo. I'll explain everything later. Kane! Barnes shouted, but Marcus had already disconnected. The embassy is mobilizing official channels, he informed the others. We don't have much time. The warehouse was even more dilapidated inside than out. Collapsed shelving, water damage, and years of neglect had turned it into a hazardous maze. Kim led them confidently through the debris to a concealed elevator platform. Terrell installed this himself, she explained, as they descended to a sublevel. He knew the risks of our research from the beginning. The laboratory below was a stark contrast to the ruin above. Pristine white surfaces, advanced medical equipment, and holographic displays showing complex molecular structures. In the center stood a secure terminal connected to multiple data storage units. The Enamel Project, Kim said, activating the main display. 3 years of research proving that an enzyme in human dental enamel can counteract the cellular deterioration in fraxal decay. The molecular structures rotated on the display. Human dental material shown breaking down and reforming Fidian cellular structures. Even to Marcus's untrained eye, the implications were clear. If this works, it destroys the narrative that humans are biologically inferior, he murmured. Precisely why certain factions want it suppressed, Kim confirmed. She began transferring data to a secure drive. Terrell believed this could transform human-Fidian relations. Instead of subordination, we could have true symbiosis. Nuya moved closer to the display, her skin pattern showing intense scientific curiosity. The molecular integration is elegant. This should be celebrated as a breakthrough, not suppressed. A sound from above interrupted them, the whine of hover engines and the thud of the warehouse doors being forced open. They've found us, Cho said, drawing her weapon. How? We weren't followed. Kim's expression turned to horror. The backup systems, They must have traced the automatic data synchronization. I should have disabled it. Marcus made a quick decision. Dr. Kim, complete the data transfer. Cho, secure the elevator. Nuya, you're with me. We need to slow them down. They hurried back to the upper level, where they could hear multiple sets of footsteps moving through the warehouse. Marcus and Nuya took cover behind collapsed shelving, watching as 6 Fidian security officers in embassy uniforms swept the area with scanning devices. Embassy security would not pursue a murder investigation with this much force, Nuya whispered, her skin patterns suppressed to avoid detection. This confirms Dr. Kim's allegations. We need to know who's giving the orders, Marcus replied quietly. Can you access their communication frequency? Nuya made a series of subtle gestures with her secondary hands, a Fidian technique for remote communication interception. Her eyes widened as she processed the incoming signals. They are reporting directly to Ambassador Molisar, she confirmed. And he is here, directing the operation personally. As if summoned by her words, a tall, imposing Fidian in formal diplomatic attire entered through the main doors. Ambassador Molisar's skin patterns radiated authority and anger as he surveyed the warehouse. Find the laboratory, he commanded his security team. Secure all research data and eliminate any witnesses. This abomination ends tonight. That's a direct violation of both human and Fidian law, Nuya whispered, her skin flashing with patterns of legal outrage. He has no authority to order executions. Tell that to Terrell, Marcus muttered grimly. He tapped his communicator. Cho, Kim, you need to get out now. Use any emergency exit. Molisar is here personally and has ordered his team to eliminate witnesses. The data transfer is at 90%. Kim's voice came back. 2 more minutes. You may not have 2 minutes, Marcus warned. He turned to Nuya. We need to distract them. Draw them away from the elevator. Nuya considered for a moment, then handed him her energy pulse rifle. Take this. It has greater range and stopping power than your pistol. I will attempt to invoke Fidian Security Protocol 42. What's that? A legal override that compels all Fidian officials to stand down when treason is alleged against a high-ranking diplomat, she explained. It requires specific gestural commands that only authorized investigators can perform. Marcus took the rifle. Will they listen? They must, by law. But I need to be visible to all of them simultaneously. Her skin patterns shifted to show grim determination. I will create a diversion near the main entrance. When security forces focus on me, you must ensure Molisar does not reach the elevator. It wasn't much of a plan, but they had no time for better options. Marcus nodded. Be careful. These aren't ordinary security officers if they're willing to follow illegal orders. Nuya's skin flashed briefly, with a pattern Marcus had never seen before. Something almost like human humor. Perhaps you humans are not the only ones with teeth, Detective. She moved swiftly toward the entrance, using the shadows for cover, until she reached a position where all security officers could see her. Then, her skin suddenly blazed with brilliant patterns. Official Fidian law enforcement signals impossible to ignore. Security Protocol 42, she announced, her voice amplified by some Fidian biological mechanism. Her 4 arms moved in complex patterns that even the security officers recognized as binding legal commands. Ambassador Molisar is hereby accused of treason against the Fidian Governance Compact. All security personnel must stand down immediately. The effect was immediate. The security officers froze, their weapons lowered as ingrained legal compliance overrode their orders. Molisar himself turned in shock, his skin patterns flashing with rage and disbelief. Investigator Nuya exceeds her authority, he shouted. This is a matter of Fidian security, not law enforcement. The murder of Ambassador Terral to suppress medical research beneficial to Fidian citizens constitutes highest treason, Nuya countered, continuing her formal gestural commands. All personnel must disarm and... She didn't finish. Molisar drew a weapon from within his diplomatic robes and fired at her. The energy blast caught Nuya in the shoulder, sending her sprawling. The security officers hesitated, caught between legal protocol and their superior's actions. Marcus used the moment of confusion to move into position, targeting Molisar with the pulse rifle. "Drop your weapon, Ambassador," he called out. "You've just added assaulting a Phidian investigator to your charges." Molisar turned toward him, and Marcus saw something that explained everything. The ambassador's mouth was wrong for a Phidian. Where Phidians typically had smooth feeding appendages, Molisar had modified his oral structure with artificial teeth that resembled human dentition. "The primitive speaks," Molisar sneered. "You understand nothing of what is at stake. Phidian purity must be maintained. We cannot become dependent on inferior species for our survival." "Yet you modified yourself with human dental structures," Marcus noted, keeping the rifle trained on him. "Hypocrisy seems universal across species." Molisar's skin flashed with patterns of hatred. "Tactical adaptation only. To understand one's enemy, one must become like them." He gestured to his security team. "Take him." Two officers moved toward Marcus, but a plasma blast from elsewhere in the warehouse dropped one of them. Officer Cho had emerged from cover, providing supporting fire. "The data transfer is complete," Kim's voice came through the communicator. "I've transmitted everything to the Phidian Medical Directorate, with evidence of Molisar's involvement in Tiral's murder." Molisar roared with rage, a sound no natural Phidian could make with their respiratory structure. His modified mouth had given him human-like vocal capabilities as well. He fired wildly toward the elevator, but Marcus was already moving, diving into him with all his weight. They crashed into a pile of debris, the ambassador's weapon skittering away. Molisar was stronger than any human, his four arms grappling with Marcus's too, but Marcus had the desperation of a man fighting for his nephew's future. As Molisar pinned him down, leaning close with his modified mouth open in a grotesque approximation of human rage, Marcus did the one thing the ambassador never expected. He lunged upward and bit down hard on Molisar's exposed forearm. The ambassador shrieked in pain and surprise. Human teeth, the very appendages Phidians had dismissed as primitive and useless, pierced his skin, releasing violet blood. "You dare use your primitive weapons on me!" Molisar hissed, recoiling. Marcus spat out the bitter Phidian blood. "You forgot we had them," he said, wiping his mouth. "Big mistake." The momentary advantage was all he needed. He slammed his fist into Molisar's modified mouth, feeling the artificial teeth crack under the impact. Before the ambassador could recover, Cho was there, plasma restraints ready. They secured all four of Molisar's arms behind his back. Across the warehouse, Nuya had regained her feet, her injury painful, but not critical. The remaining security officers had finally responded to Protocol 42, laying down their weapons now that Molisar had clearly violated Phidian law by firing on a legal authority. "Ambassador Molisar," Nuya declared formally, her skin patterns now showing official judicial authority. "You are charged with the murder of Ambassador Tiral, conspiracy against Phidian medical advancement, and treason against the Compact." Molisar's skin patterns had gone dim with defeat, but his modified mouth twisted in defiance. "You've doomed our species to dependency on these primitives." "No," Kim said, emerging from the elevator with the secure data drive. "We've opened the door to genuine cooperation." Terrell understood that true strength comes from symbiosis, not domination. Nuya summoned official Phidian security forces, ones loyal to the legal authorities, rather than embassy politics. As they arrived to take custody of Molisar and his co-conspirators, she approached Marcus, who was using a cloth to wipe Phidian blood from his mouth. "Your teeth," she said, her skin patterns showing a complex mix of respect and lingering cultural prejudice. "They proved rather effective." Marcus grimaced. "Not as effective as they could be." He pointed to the gap where his front tooth should be. Lost that one in a case years ago. Perhaps Dr. Kim could assist with a replacement, Nuya suggested, with what might have been the Phidian equivalent of humor. I understand she has considerable expertise in cross-species dentistry. 2 days later, Marcus sat in his sister's living room, watching Leo play a virtual game designed for both human and Phidian users. The boy looked stronger already, though Marcus knew that was just wishful thinking. The treatments derived from the enamel project would take time to develop and test. The Phidian Medical Directorate has officially thanked us for uncovering Mulasar's conspiracy, Captain Barnes told him, sipping coffee at the kitchen table. Dr. Kim has been appointed to lead a joint human-Phidian research team, and you, somehow, have managed to turn a potential diplomatic catastrophe into a public relations victory. Not me, Marcus corrected her. Terrell. He knew what he was risking by pursuing that research. And Nuya, Barnes added. I never thought I'd see a Phidian investigator put law above politics. The news played on a holo display in the corner. Ambassador Mulasar being escorted to a Phidian judicial facility. His modified mouth now returned to standard Phidian configuration, the human-like teeth removed as part of his disgrace. They're saying fraxal decay affects thousands of Phidians, Marcus's sister said quietly, joining them at the table. And that this human enzyme treatment could save them all. Including Leo, Marcus confirmed. Dr. Kim says his condition is genetically similar. The treatment protocol should work for both species. His sister's eyes filled with tears. All this time, I refused to consider Phidian medicine because I thought they saw us as lab rats. And now we know at least some of them saw us as equals. Marcus finished for her. Partners. His communicator chimed. A message from Nuya, who had been recalled to Phidia for debriefing. The text was characteristically formal, but concluded with an unexpected personal note. The Directorate has approved emergency production of the enzyme treatment, based on Dr. Kim's research. Human donors are being compensated for dental material samples. Your nephew's name has been added to the priority treatment list. Sometimes, the simplest tools remind us of who we are, and why we must never be underestimated. Marcus ran his tongue over the gap in his teeth, a smile slowly forming. In all his years of policing the uneasy boundary between humans and Phidians, he'd never imagined that human teeth, dismissed as primitive, inadequate, a sign of evolutionary inferiority, would become the bridge between their species. Outside the window, a Phidian hover shuttle passed by, lower to the ground than usual. Its pilot made a deliberate gesture toward the apartment, a Phidian salute of respect, normally reserved for equals. Things are changing, Barnes observed, following his gaze. About time, Marcus replied. He watched Leo laugh at something in his game, the sound full and unburdened by the knowledge of his condition. We've been showing our teeth for years. Now they've finally noticed we have them.